Hi, Lacretta. How are you? It's good to see you.
I'm I'm good, Hugo. How are you?
Great. Thank you for being with me and Destino. I really wanted to talk to you about your character Gergs on Night Court. So, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about you and the character?
Yeah, I love her to death. She is just so charismatic. She's a dynamic personality. She loves her job, but she cares deeply about her coworkers. She's got a huge family, and she's making her way. She's climbing the corporate ladder, as it were, is now chief bailiff. So we get to see, that trajectory for her, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with us and to see what
Yeah.
happens with us individually on the show. Hopefully, we're going to move forward in some form or fashion. And I just can't wait.
Right. And I really enjoy the comedic element that Gergs brings to the episodes, as well as when you get to showcase your vocal skills and your singing. So, for example, what was it like for you on the Night Court, the musical episode?
It was great. It's going back to my roots. Ultimately, I don't know if you know this, but my plan, and it's interesting to see how plans change, was to be an opera singer. So
Oh,
I ended up getting a master's degree, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna I did audition for several opera apprenticeship programs.
yeah.
See, I think Michigan, Florida, maybe Cincinnati. I don't remember which ones I did, but I did about four of them altogether. And nothing came out of that. But what did come out of that was actually a job offer to work at American Girl Place. And they had a theater at the time, non-union theater, and that's how I got my start in New York.
Yeah, exactly. I've been able to interview a lot of professionals, and that seems to be kind of the pattern that a lot of people go in like imagining themselves in one direction, and then just like different paths start appearing, and you always end up where you're supposed to be.
Correct. Yeah, I believe that.
Uh, well, you mentioned your Broadway background, for example, Book of Mormon. How would you be able to compare the work that you did on a sitcom like Night Court and Book of Mormon? How are they different?
They're different and they're the same. They're the same in that you've got a live audience.
Yeah.
You have more audience members when you're doing a stage production. Well, it depends on the house. There
Yeah.
are some black boxes that are like 99 seats, especially here in LA. But when we're on the road, we've got a couple thousand people sitting out there. When we're here, I don't even know how many people fit in our studio audience. Like a
Uh,
couple hundred, 100.
yeah, two to 300, I imagine, from what I've seen.
So nice. So the beautiful thing about that is that I've already played for thousands.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier to play for a couple hundred. And
Yeah.
it's much more intimate that way. And you really feel like, especially when we're sitting in between takes and we look out and see who's out there, like we can actually make eye contact with the
Mhm.
entire audience as opposed to like the first couple of rows. So
Yeah.
that's nice. You get to connect a little bit more. And because you have that instant response from the audience, you can gauge better how the scene is going. One thing for like single cam, in order to get a clean take, there's nothing.
Yeah.
You get nothing.
Okay.
You might get some energy if you know the people behind the camera, but the
Mhm.
last single cam I didn't know them. So I wasn't sure what energy I was getting from them. So I was so confused. I was funny, but
Yeah.
in the moment I couldn't gauge. I didn't have those guideposts like you do when you have a live studio audience. So yeah, yeah, they're similar in that there are bodies out there and they
Mhm.
can respond to you, but they're different in that I'm doing 2.5 hours in one go, as
Right.
opposed to 5 minutes 5 minute chunks to make
Mhm.
than 23 minutes. So it's a lot more concentrated, a lot more physical because I was dancing, I was belting, I had a high B flat in it, so there was a lot that was happening in Book of Mormon that doesn't happen in
Yeah.
Night Court.
Right.
And rightfully so,
Yeah.
because I'm older now. I'm much older than I was when I was doing Book of Mormon, and I get to be in one place.
Yeah.
That's nice. I get to come home every night. That's nice. So, but I love them both. I absolutely love them both.
Right. And outside of the musical episode that we did, what would you say is the most proudest or fun episode that you got to work on
Oh
for Night
gosh.
Court?
It's been 3 years, Hugo,
I
and
uh,
we've done so many different themes and so many different genres of being funny. We've got the door slams and the pratfalls and the pies to the face and animals and babies and I think, gosh, okay, can I do two favorite moments?
give me two. Yeah.
Thank you. So, from season one, Justice Buddies, where we get to see
Oh,
Gerg's
yes.
nephew,
Yeah.
Xavier. That was an awesome episode. Uh, Mostly because we talked about what was going on at the time, what is continuing to go on at the time, and judicial equality, I guess to say, or always making sure that in those times where a person is going through something that's really scary for them to be seen.
Yeah.
And oftentimes in those situations where, you may have gotten arrested and you may have chosen to be arrested, to get into a situation where you're just criminalized off the bat, generally, that's something that Gergs wants to prevent. So it was
Right.
nice to see how much she cared about what it is that she does and what she represents. And on the flip side of that, probably the pie to the face. The pie to the face because it's so unexpected and there was so much going on in that episode and I had never been pied before, so it was, yeah, that was, yeah, I loved it.
I know I've been noticing and I enjoy seeing the progress of Gergs of like
Mhm.
pursuing advancing her career and also getting close to all her coworkers and seeing that kind of evolution.
Yeah, that's how I am in life. I love to talk to people. I love to get to know them. But I'm also like, I like to give gifts. And so because these conversations are so important to me,
Yeah.
when I do find something for that person in particular, it
Yeah.
means a lot to me because that's a tangible way to let you know that I've been listening and that our conversations are important to me. And I feel like that's the same thing with Gergs. Like she loves spending time with people. She loves deep connections with people. I would say if I were to write my own backstory, that outside of her family, I
Yeah.
don't think she has that many extra friends because there's only so far that you can spread yourself.
Yes.
And I feel like she is definitely has boundaries. So between her family and her work family, I
Mhm.
kind of feel like that's it. That's enough. That's plenty because apparently she's got a huge family, a gigantic family. So on top of them taking care of them, and then the five people that she has at work, I think that's enough.
Well, just to continue the onset stories, what would you say is one of the challenging scenes or episodes that Gergs had throughout
Mm,
the seasons?
yeah, I think the vulnerability of her relationship with the Duke.
That's right.
Yeah, I actually enjoy being vulnerable. It's uncomfortable. I will say that it is uncomfortable at times,
Mm.
but in romantic relationships, I do wear my heart on my sleeve. And so I understood where she was coming from in making sure that she was enough
Yeah.
for him. I mean, he's a duke. There's a pedigree of people that he deals with on a regular basis that is not necessarily where Gerg's come from.
Right.
And for she would never ask anyone to change for her,
Mhm.
which is why she hasn't asked him to go to a hockey game with her instead of going to have dinner at the top of the Statue of Liberty and just eat foam and gold flakes. Because, she doesn't want him to feel like he's settling for less. And it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that she is,
Right.
because she is a gem, she's a diamond. But, that's a lot, that's a big ask for someone that that you care for. And then to find out that he's like, oh yeah, I'll totally go to a hockey game with you. Huzzah! Then that, to see them get closer. I'm sad that they did end up breaking up. Spoilers, sorry. I'm sorry to break your heart out there.
Yeah,
If you were really
exactly.
rooting for, a royal wedding, not gonna happen. Well, I'm not even gonna say that. I'll take that back. Didn't happen so far. could happen in the future. But, to see them
Yeah.
grow stronger in their relationship and to even make it work being in two different locations
Yeah.
is already a challenge. So to see that they have been really working hard to make it work and taking trips together, I think that's a really sweet thing.
Exactly. And not to put you in the hot seat, but it got me an idea of asking you, well, what would you want to see Gergs do or her storyline to moving forward?
Yeah, I'm open to anything, and one of the executives did ask me this question. I'm so easy. Whatever they bring my way, I am happy about it because I'm just grateful to be here in the first place.
Yeah.
I would, however, like to see more of her family, like her immediate family, like
Yeah.
who's her dad, who's her mom. She's talked about both of them. We know that she's got two sets of twin brothers. Is she a twin?
Hmm.
Because there was a line from the first season that talked about, she said, this is why I don't talk to my twins.
Oh, okay.
So is she a twin?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? Well, I want to see that. I would love to see her apartment. Apparently, she's got like 17 dogs at the house. Like, what kind of dogs does she have? Are these strays? Are these like what is that? She plays video games. What is going on with that side of her? Does she want to have children? Like, what? I want to know more about everybody, to be perfectly honest. And with that cliffhanger that we had
Right.
for the season 3 finale, but a whole bunch of people have questions right now. So I'm just
Stay
excited. And I
tuned.
think that as smart as our writers are,
Mhm.
they're going to come up with things that I hadn't even thought
Yeah.
about. So I'm totally open.
Yeah. How about the Night Court Disneyland episode so we can go over there for a week or something?
For a week or something. But you know what? I think they would send us to Universal. And doesn't Universal have a new park coming out?
Yeah, well, they have a new ride coming out, the Fast and the Furious coming out. Fast and
Oh,
Furious ride, yeah.
I'm down. Listen,
Yeah,
I
let's
love a good
go to
roller
Universal.
coaster. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to touch on your beginnings. What
hmm
was it like for you landing your first roles on TV or how was that transition?
Yeah, everything just kind of fell into my lap. Coming from my point of view, people are like, "Oh, she's an overnight success," da 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 da. But I've been doing this since I was 14, so like we go all the way back to the 19th century, or to the 1900s. Like I've been performing and acting a fool, but I don't even remember what that audition was. But the very first television thing that I booked was Law and Order.
Okay.
And the progression, well, I don't know if the progression is, but you strive for an under five. You hope for an under five or like third corpse from the left. Just to dip your toes in and to see, is this something that you want to do? What is set life? What is this going to be like? What are call times? What is crafty?
Mhm.
So that was the first thing that I booked, and I was like, wow, like I'm having conversations with leads. That's a good chunk of a scene that I had. And then after that, there was what came? I don't remember let's see, Law and Order, and then 30 Rock, and
30 Rock.
then Broad City after that. And so they had a nice little spread. There was time in between for me to be like, okay, that was fun, but now I'm gonna go back and do the stage thing because this is what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
And then the movie happened, and I was like, huh, okay. And then I booked a pilot. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I booked another pilot. I was like, huh, okay. And then I booked this, and I was like, universe, are you trying to tell me something? Are you trying
Yeah,
to tell me this is what I'm
trying to
supposed to be
pull you
doing?
the right way.
Exactly, to pull me where I need to be. I love it here. And that's not to say that I will never go back to the stage again,
Right.
but I was at a point in my life where 8 shows a week is not easy. Doesn't matter if you are a swing, doesn't matter if you are ensemble, doesn't matter if you're a lead. 8 shows a week is a lot to do mentally, physically,
Mhm.
the commute coming in and out of town. And so I was at the point where I was like, as a character actress, because I could be a lead if they would let me. Um, I would love to find a situation for myself where I could do 6 performances a week because
Yeah.
that's nice. That gives you time to recover. And especially as I get older, I need that time to recover. I'm the kind of person that puts everything into that role.
Yeah.
So by the time I get home at night, I'm exhausted. And to have that time to turn around and go back into being yourself, I think sometimes we lose our celebrities because they don't give themselves enough time. Like Maria Callas, she injured her voice because she was just working so hard. And
Right.
when you're the voice type that she is, she needed to do some, I say this as an armchair coach, to do some mezzo roles in between.
Mm.
But the way that this business is set up is we put so much acclaim on sopranos
Mm.
that sometimes they feel like they have to do more to stay in the limelight because it's a drug. There is a high. There definitely is a high when you hear that applause
Yeah.
and you take your bow and you hear people cheer, you see people stand up for you. Like, it is very thrilling. So I understand.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, you have to be able to step outside of that and to say, you know what, I need a break. I need to rest. I need to rest my body. I need to rest my voice. I need to rest my brain. I need to also live in my own skin
Yeah.
in between all of these things so that I don't get caught up and not be able to take it off at night.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely push yourself to do these shows, but then it's like at what cost?
At
And
what
you're
cost?
talking about the longevity instead of the
Hmm.
short-term kind of reward. But
Correct.
to add on to that, can you tell us a little bit about what your week is like on an episode of Night Court? What does day one look like for you as Gergs?
Yeah, it's much different than single cam. And single cam, you might have an 18-hour day here, an
Mhm.
18-hour day there. In the
Mhm.
projects that I did, we didn't have any rehearsals. On the flip side, we got the multicam, and we're doing a 5 day week, and we're doing Monday through Friday. I know some other shows will do Wednesday through whatever that fifth day is. So their days off are a little bit different. I kind of enjoy having going Monday to Friday and then having the weekends off because I don't do anything anyway. Like, there's no errands that I need to get done that need to happen during the week.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about it is that we, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, get out of work and it's still daylight.
Yeah,
And that's nice.
exactly.
We do a table read on Mondays, and then that's it. Huh, that's it. Like, you, I'm like, well, should we stay around and do some things now? No, I'm done. Okay, bye. Tuesday we come in. If there have been any changes, I
Mhm.
like to come in a little bit early.
Yeah.
Now, most people that have been doing this sooner than I have will just take the next script that they give us. They give us a brand new script, whatever the changes are, even if things hadn't changed, we get a full brand new script. For me, coming from a world in which you have anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 months of rehearsal, you spend a lot more time with your script.
Mhm.
So I like to just integrate anything new that happens. There's a
Yeah.
lot of writing in my scripts. You can tell that they have been held. They're all curled. I put them on a ring so I can flip the pages faster.
Yeah.
And so I just like to, and it drives Susie crazy because she'll see that the majority of my pages are white, which is the
Yeah.
script that we get on Monday. And now we're on pink pages, and she's just like, what do you have? What is that in your hand? Do you have the new? Yes, I have the new pages. See, there's some little bit of pink here, a little bit of pink there, and then there's a little bit of pink and a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue. And so my scripts are very Frankenstein in that regard. But
Yeah.
I just like having that relationship with the script, having it for that long. Wednesday is the same. We come in, we rehearse, we do, I don't remember which day is what. We'll do a run for the network one day. We do a
Uh-huh.
run for the studio the next day. At
Yeah.
the end of our run through, they go back and they give notes, and then there are some tweaks that may happen. Thursday we do pre-shoots, and Thursday is our going to be our longer day, our 12-hour day, our 18-hour days. If there's things on a swing set, or if there's things with technical elements,
Gags.
stunts or animals, yeah, or babies, we do those pre-shoots on Thursday. And so I could shoot anywhere from 5 scenes. In the beginning, I was probably doing like 5 and 5. So 5 on Thursday and then 5 on the live day on Friday. And so Friday then becomes our studio audience day. And that's about another 12 to 16, 18-hour day. We
Yeah.
get there in the morning, we rehearse for the cameras so that they know where we're going to be, and we make sure that we've got the coverage. Around 3:30, we'll do a speed read of the whole scenes that we're taping that day.
Uh-huh.
And then on Friday, we've got our live studio audience. And the great thing about it, the awesome thing about it, the amazing thing about it is anything that we shot the day before, we've got a rough cut of to play so that everything is in order. And I'm like, if we get out of there at 9, 10 o'clock, these
Uh-huh.
people have edited all these scenes to then be able to play them the next day. Well, look, he's been nominated for 3 Emmys.
He
So
has.
that kind of shows you who we have that is putting everything together and making us look good.
Yeah, Steve's great. I've had him,
Yeah.
I've had a chat with him as well.
Oh, nice.
Well, what was it like collaborating with the rest of the cast?
I love them. I have gone to school for a very long time, and I'm glad that I did because it not only instilled discipline in me,
Mhm.
but also like an acting technique that I is now at this point second nature to me. I'm just listening and responding, to
Yeah.
be perfectly honest. And because I'm a person that loves to have conversation and I'm just hanging on every word, I memorize my lines without any kind of inflection. So I just learn what the words are so that then when I am having a conversation with my scene partners, I can respond. I know what I need to say, but then it's flavored with the conversation that I'm having with the other person. And we've got people that's been on the stage and on the screen since I was little.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to like get to study them and watch them and talk to them and respond to them. My friends that I watch the show with on Tuesday nights, they're like, "We love you anytime you have scenes with John."
Mm.
Like the two of y'all going back and forth is like, we eat it up. Like I've in articles, and I'm not trying to brag, but in articles, they're like, it's very much like a tennis match with Lacretta. You
Mhm.
know, you're volleying the ball back and forth, and you never know where she's gonna hit it, and I never know where it's gonna come at me. So, you got to be ready. You got to be present.
Right. Definitely being able to see the way that you react with Abby and also Niambi's character. We're
Yeah,
able to see how Gerg specifically navigates in the courthouse and how she engages with everybody else around her.
yeah, yeah. It's nice. I call it my Rolodex of personalities. And so in life, I've had to learn how to have conversations with people that you may not necessarily want to have conversations with,
Right.
or that you're in a situation where you're just not communicating well and figuring out how to be able to communicate better with a person like that. And so I'm like, okay, well, this person is a little bit of John, and this person is a little bit of Mary, and this person is a little bit of this. So okay, I know how to talk to these people individually,
Yeah.
so I can blend this together to find a way to talk to this singular person that has these personality traits.
Well, thank you for that. And how about for those that are just starting out and are really interested in pursuing this, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Hang in there. That's my number one. If you can
Right.
afford to stay, stay.
Yeah.
If you can't afford to stay, take a pause. It's gonna be there. We're doing the best that we can with the earth that we have. So like at some point that's gonna spin out, but there's always gonna be a need for entertainment. There's always gonna be a need for a break from reality. There's always gonna be a space for people to be creative. And if there isn't, you can make one. But hang in there. You're gonna hear a lot of no's. I
Right.
don't even know how many no's I've heard. I keep track of the yeses because
Yeah.
that's the one that's going to progress you through this. There are yeses that I didn't even expect to hear, like this one. And here we are. We've had three big yeses to
Yeah.
get us into wherever we're going to go from here. So just hang in there. I wouldn't ever say, "Oh, you must go to Juilliard." I'm never going to say, "Oh, you must do this, you must do that," because your path can be different. I chose to go to school because I was coming from Kansas City and I felt like I need to have more tools going into New York than just going from Kansas City straight there. But the resources that I had in Kansas City were great. The resources that you may have if you live in LA, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, you have so many things that you can take that is not a university. There are classes that you can take. There are great actors who are giving you the tools, and it's not, higher education. It is higher education. It's just not academic. It's not state funded. It's not going to be $10,000. $60,000, $120,000 that you then put yourself in debt. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Because when you're first starting out and your gig is giving you $100 a week, that's
Yeah.
not going to take care of that $120,000 student loan debt that you have. So pace
Exactly.
yourselves.
Well,
Pace
yeah,
yourselves.
that's
Mm-hmm.
something that I had to adjust to and to stop taking things personal because it's like just
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't land that job doesn't mean that you were not good enough for it. It just means that it was not the right time or just not what
Mm-hmm.
they had in mind for it.
Correct.
And a lot of the times that I've same thing. I've landed gigs that I didn't even expect to be a part of, and then
Mhm.
being able to grow from there and to learn how to take the no's, and
Yeah.
eventually you're going to get a yes that's going to work out for you.
And just be kind to people. My mom would always say, "You never know who's watching you,"
Exactly.
and it's interesting. Like now that I'm on this side of everything,
Yeah.
uh, I had liked a person's clip on Instagram, and they immediately wrote me. Now this is a person who has like 300,000 followers. And I was like, oh, I'll just be one of the 45,000 people who likes this post. I didn't even comment on the post.
Uh-huh.
He messaged me directly on Instagram, was like, "Oh my God, I love your work." And blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know who I am? That you even know who I am. I have been following this guy
Yeah.
when I was first starting out in New York. And I was like, oh gosh, let me follow him to see what he's doing. Ooh, this is nice. And for him to be like, oh my God, like I love your work and was such a huge fan. What? So you never know. You never know. And even if you're on a smaller platform, it doesn't matter if you're
No.
on national television, if you're on a 23-minute spot on Netflix, doesn't matter what you're doing. Your 99 seat box, black box here in LA, it doesn't matter. Somebody is out there, someone has their eye on you, and you just have to say graceful, grateful, and prepared.
Yeah.
And the sky can be your limit.
Yeah, I don't believe in there being small roles. It's just what you do
Mm-mm.
with what's given to you, and to be
Yeah.
able to give it your all and whatever it is, it's going to
Mhm.
go a long way, and it's going to show on screen or
Yeah.
in a play. But what you did bring up booking Night Court, what was that like for you? Did you know Melissa beforehand?
No, I mean, I knew Big Bang, but
Yeah.
I didn't know Melissa
Oh, right.
personally,
Yeah.
individually. So sometimes my appetite gets a little off, especially when I'm excited about something and I want to do a great job. I knew the minute that I read that script that I was like, oh yeah, I want that. I want that. I understand her. I
Yeah.
want to be her. So my appetite was off. I was like, oh, you're fine. I was doing a Zoom callback, final callback. So it was like, you're at home. I put some chicken thighs in the air fryer. I was like, because you're gonna be ravenous once you're done. So let's just
Yeah.
go ahead and put that in. So I had the smell of roasted chicken coming down the hallway. I was just it, it was second nature, the script, but I will say that I still had the script hung up. I don't know if they said I had needed to be memorized, but I still had it within plain view because anything can happen up here. You get a misfire and then you lose your place. So, just because, and nowadays they're like, you don't have to be off book. Like, let's just take some of that pressure off of you. So, no matter how well you know your script, always have it close. Either post it out so you can keep your point of view or in your hand so that if you do lose your place, you can find it immediately. So I had the sanctuary of home to do my final audition. Everyone was like, "Oh, wonderful!" I didn't hear their laughter because everyone was muted, but there was like 25 people on that Zoom call.
Yeah. Wow.
I finished. They sat me back in the waiting room, sat in there for a little while, and then they released me.
Uh-huh.
Went about my day. I don't know how much time passed, but I will say that I got a phone call from Melissa to say, you booked it. And I was like,
Oh,
what? She was like, I know that your agent should be the one to call you, but I wanted to make sure that you knew from me personally that, we're bringing you on as Gergs. And then fast forward to when we got picked up. Like we had already shot the pilot. And so after I get done with something, I do it takes a while. I do my best to release it. It is what it is. It has existed. What's going to happen with it is going to move forward or it's not. But I'm not going to tie so much emotion to it because I don't want to be disappointed if it
right.
doesn't go.
Hmm.
And also, then it gives me more room to be excited if it does get picked up. So my ankles were a little puffy. So I was laying on the floor with my feet up and I got a text message from a friend's husband.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "Oh, congratulations on Night Court." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Well, I've been done, but like we shot the pilot already. Like, what you talking
yeah.
about?" And some said, "Well, just wait and see what he means. If he texts you back, if he doesn't text you back, don't worry about it."
Yeah.
So then he texts me back, and I was like, "Okay, wait a minute." So he was like, we just read in the Hollywood Reporter about Night Court. And then I got a little confused. So I called him and he was like, "Oh my God, congratulations, you guys got picked up." And I was like, "What do you mean? Picked up for what?" He was like, "Lacretta, y'all got picked up to be produced for a season." I was like, "Wait a minute. could be they were the first person to call me. My agent hadn't called yet.
Yeah.
And so they were the ones who got to break the news. And the beautiful thing about that was that they were part of the team
Mhm.
that I did my Broadway debut with. So it was definitely a full circle moment in
Wow.
having them let me know that I was going to be on national television.
Oh, that has to feel really good.
It feels great. It really does.
That one of the things that came to mind while you were saying was, yeah, th this feeling of family and community that I've
Hmm.
got from this show specifically. Just like you said, Melissa actually calling you personally, and
Hmm.
for example, that's all around. You feel that support on stage every time that you have like some kind of task or something that you're having trouble with. You know that you have a whole crew
A
behind
whole crew.
that is ready
Yeah.
to jump on it.
One of our gaffers, just out of the blue,
Yeah.
I have my blue periods, having lost my mother,
Uh-huh.
but not anytime soon, guys. Don't worry, I'm fine. But back in 2011, I have my blue period in the fall going into the winter,
Mhm.
and I handle it well. You can definitely tell that my energy is a little different,
Yeah.
but I still have a job to do, so I have to show up.
Mhm.
And out of the blue, he was like, "I got you something." And I was like, I don't know your name. Okay, but so now I gotta and thank you for making that big old chart
Oh
in the
yeah, I
back.
love
It's
doing those.
amazing because then
Yeah.
I know faces, but sometimes connecting names with them are hard for me. And so
Yeah,
to see that
exactly.
big old chart back, I was like, oh, now I know. Okay, yep, that's who that is. He had gotten me a baseball cap from Black Panther. So it's a
Oh.
beautiful black and purple baseball cap, and
Uh,
it's got like an enamel Wakanda Forever on the front, and then on the back, the teeth that were hanging around his neck,
yeah.
that's on the back around the little loophole thing. I was like, man, what a lovely thing to do. He had to do that for me. But he
Oh
bought
my
me a
God.
baseball cap because he saw that I was feeling kind of sad. Same
Yeah.
thing with Melissa. Day one, she was like, listen, we're not gonna have no toxicity around here.
Hmm.
My door is always open. If you need anything, you let me know. And if you have a problem and you've gone through your proper channels and you don't feel as if you've been heard, come and talk to me and we'll make sure that everything is ironed out. I never had any problems that I didn't feel like I couldn't handle, but to know that coming in and for me to have been in some toxic situations, day in and day out with projects that I loved being at, but didn't necessarily like what was happening on the back side of things, on the
Yeah.
offstage part of things, it's been so refreshing to have this safe space here around what you're creating. Because, as much as I love to be vulnerable, I don't like being vulnerable in a toxic situation. No one should have to do that.
Yeah.
And so it makes me even want to be like, here's my entire heart. Here, take it. Because I know
Exactly.
that there's nothing, no infection is going to get in there, because there's no toxicity on set. It's very special, very, very special.
Yeah, exactly. You always feel protected and you always feel
Hmm.
like for me it makes me want to give it my all out there and make sure that we put on like the best show that we all can
The
do
best.
to.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
keep you guys up on the
I
wall.
know. I see all the things over there.
Well, thank you so much, Lacretta. I really appreciate this chat with you, and it was great to see a little window into your world.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Hugo. I had a blast.